Hey doing everyone, welcome back. Well, you probably heard the news that Donald Trump tried to call up the Oregon National Guard to send them into Portland. And a judge said, nah, I don't think so, you can't do that. So he decides, alright, cool, let's send up the California National Guard. And the judge is like, no, I don't think so. You can't send any state's National Guard to Portland. So, Portland, which is burning to the ground, which it's not. There's like no fires going on in Portland right now. What they're doing is they're showing footage from 5 years ago when some protests got out of hand in Portland. They're showing that footage and claiming that it's current, that that's what's going on now. I think the rowdiest footage that I've seen out of Portland is there's some guy dressed as a frog or something. I mean, I don't understand that this guy in the frog costume. You know, if you know anything about the guy in the frog costume, let me know in the comments, will you? Because that's I don't understand it, but it's funny, right? I think it's hilarious that they've got a guy in a frog costume. But yeah, there's like, what, 20 or 30 people? And they're contained in like a 1 block area in Portland. So, that's what's going on there. Meanwhile, we've got the Texas National Guard rolling into Chicago. And by rolling in, and I'm not, trying to body shame anybody here, but when Whiskey Pete Kegsbreath says that, goes on that tirade that he went, with the generals about, we can't have any fat troops. Well, we've got people rolling into Chicago, right? I mean, you've seen the memes, Meal Team 6, the Gravy Seals, I'm sure you've seen the pictures. There are some overweight National Guardsmen, and I know it's not most of them, but it's like everyone in that one photo is. And really what's more disturbing to me than them being overweight, the most disturbing thing in that photo is if you look, the guy carrying a duffel bag under his left arm, his rifle is pointed at the guy to his left, right? So instead of, having it slung appropriately so that he's not flagging the guy to his left, now granted there's no magazine in the well, and I would assume then that there's not a round chambered, at least I would hope so. I'm sure that, the weapons were cleared before they were issued. But, that's actually the most disturbing thing in that photo. You see the guys getting off the back of the truck and, I mean, other than the fact that it's National Guard showing up where they're not needed. Other than that, like I said, that is actually the most disturbing thing, is that we've got the National Guard on the streets of our cities unnecessarily. All right. Is there crime in Chicago? Yeah. Yep. In fact, I went over that in a video not too long ago. If I remember, I'll link to that video in the description. But yeah, Chicago is not as high crime a city as we're told it is. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's quite a bit of crime in Chicago. But it's not even in the top 10 cities. And it's on the decline, right? But yeah, Stephen Miller, who's basically the Joseph Goebbels of this administration, right? Stephen Miller, in order to justify sending troops into Portland, Oregon, right? He brought up a sniper on the roof shooting at ICE agents. Well, first of all, that guy wasn't shooting at ICE agents. He was shooting at ICE detainees. Not the agents, the detainees. What did he do? He killed one and injured two others. But also, that was in Dallas. That was in Dallas, Texas, not Portland, Oregon. Okay? I mean, last time I looked at a map, Texas is here and Oregon is here, and they're not close to each other. And Dallas and Oregon are in completely different states. And those states, like I said, they're not even close to each other. So, for him to justify something that happened in Dallas, for him to use something that happened in Dallas to justify what he's doing in Portland, when there are small protests in Portland which are completely peaceful. Like I said, the worst thing that I've seen happen in Portland from a protester is there's a guy in a frog suit. He's dressed as a frog. I don't understand it. That's just weird. All right? I'm sure a guy dressed as a frog is not dangerous. I mean, ICE has been pepper spraying, they've been tear gassing, in fact, there was one, and I get all these incidents confused. This may have been Portland, may have been Chicago, who knows, right? Because they all run together. It's hard to keep them all straight. But there was a woman who was just talking to the ICE agents, just talking to them, right? And one of the guys just whips out a can of mace and just blasts her right in the face with it. It's like, dude, really? She didn't do anything. She was just talking. And then there was another one, and I don't know where this one was, because like I said, they all run together. And this guy gets tackled by ICE, and there's a woman who is calling them out and basically saying, hey, he didn't do anything. And he didn't. The guy didn't do anything, right? He didn't do anything. Why are you doing this to him? And she was told, you stand over there. And she's like, no, I'm going to stand right here, because she was well within her rights. She was not interfering with them at all. And the one guy said, that the one agent said to her, you're going to stand where I tell you or you're next. Okay, that tells me right then and there that you don't care. You don't care about the law. You don't care about whether or not people are You're not worried about rounding up people to get them out of this country. You're just worried about going on a power trip, right? And you think that you're going to get pardoned for the crimes that you are committing, and yes, they are crimes. You may have the cover of law with this regime in charge, but when your crimes come to light, when someone tries to bring you to justice for your crimes, it'll be a different administration in charge, and it'll be a different attorney general, and it'll be someone who actually cares about law and order, not somebody who uses it as a talking point to create whatever laws he wants in that particular moment. I mean, Stephen Miller even told ICE to stop going after the drug cartels and the gangbangers, and told them, hey, look, just go hang out at the Home Depot. We need numbers. So it's about the numbers and not actually getting the people out who need to be deported. So that's where we are in this country right now. It's in a dangerous place. We've got National Guard is coming to a city near you if they're not already there, right? And if not the National Guard, just wait. It'll be active duty military. And as a veteran, I find that absolutely disgusting, because there's no justification for it. And for any active duty military being sent as law enforcement, you're violating the law. You are violating the law. Remember your oath. Your oath is not to that guy in office. It's not to any person. It's not to that officer giving you the orders. Oh, sure, your oath says that you will obey orders. You'll obey the orders of the officers appointed over you and the President of the United States. But when those orders are unlawful, you are duty-bound to disregard them. Remember that. Remember that. Okay? So, if they're not already there, National Guard it'll be called out to your area soon, I'm sure. Maybe the only place that might be safe is, I don't know, Wyoming? Wyoming, maybe, Oklahoma. Yeah, they're not going to send them there because, those are reliably red areas, right? So, we'll see what happens. It's not good. It's getting worse. And hopefully we all live to see it get better. Because, Germany, after they went through something like this, granted it took a world war, but they came out stronger on the other side. Hopefully that'll happen with us as well. Hopefully it doesn't require a world war. But we'll see what happens. I'll catch you next time.